Sup gamers, it's your boy Status here, and I'm coming to you live from the scene of the aftermath of our bi-weekly siege. As you see, the castle walls have been destroyed. Shout out to my guild, we won another siege.
Are you not entertained?
Honestly, it's such fun gameplay. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I started Throne and Liberty, but now we have a YouTube channel. Can't complain. Now, on to why you guys are actually here. A bunch of you have been asking me for my PvP Greatsword Dagger build that you saw in one of my previous videos. Full disclaimer to you, I'm not playing Greatsword Dagger anymore. I love it, amazing class. I was having so much fun with it in arena, and it taught me so many game mechanics. It taught me to stay on my toes, gave me the cushion of having a high HP and having to be up close to enemies, so I had to learn the mechanics and learn to dodge and block perfectly. But guys, I cannot put down the staff. Before the siege yesterday, I officially transferred a bunch of my skills over to the staff. Our staff is actually now doing better than our greatsword. The build is now stronger, but that doesn't change why you guys came here. You guys wanted the PvP build. I decided I'm going to give you the PVE build as well. I'll show you guys the difference. I'll show you guys the changes I make for different scenarios, because I will be changing these presets very soon. So let's get into it. Alright, so first things first, I'm not going to go over the gear with you guys, just because the gear is subjective and it's really dependent on what you can afford. I finally got my best in slot pieces, but something like the Shadow Harvester pants, for example, if I was building it for Greatsword Dagger, I would put HP max HP on it instead of mana regen, but we're speccing out for this now. So first thing you have to pay attention to as you're playing these builds is your stat points. The stat points are incredibly important. For PvP, you want to aim for 60 strength. With Greatsword Dagger, you're basically always aiming for 60 strength with the right gear. And then you want to aim for 50 perception, because being able to hit in PvP is very important with the evasion builds. For PvE, you also want 60 strength, right? It gives you the added HP and heavy attack chance. But here, you want to aim for 60 dexterity. Then you would put the rest of your points into getting 40 perception. And from there, you could put whatever you have left into wisdom. Perception becomes a lot more important when you're PvPing, because you get this hit chance increase, right? But in PvE, you're gonna hit. It's not that big of a deal. But different stat distribution for what you're doing. This is why I recommend using the equipment sets. Now, I can't get anywhere close to that because I don't have the right pieces. I can tell you guys one thing that would take me back to actually playing Greatsword Dagger would be if I can get the Dentist Greatsword to drop. Hopefully one day. We also might have to start playing Sentinel because my daggers are almost at 16 mastery. So I might start PvEing with staff and a greatsword, which should be an experience. If you're interested in that, make sure to lock into the channel. As you see here, we'll start with the PvP skills that you guys were asking me for, and I will show you kind of how I switch it around based on what I'm doing. So no matter what you're doing in PvP, you're always going to take Devastating Smash. You're always going to take Stunning Blow. You're always going to take Guillotine Blade, Cruel Smite, which is your Valiant Brawl, as well as Death Blow. Basically, you're always taking Ascending Slash. You're always taking Shadow Strike. You're always taking Da Vinci's Courage, and you're always taking Camouflage Cloak. Now, if you play PvP without Precision Dash, I've seen some people do it. You're crazy. I would never do it. I like to be able to move around the map quickly and jump on targets quickly, but very personal preference. You could always replace this. And I run Phantom Smokescreen, especially for large target or like for boon stones, anywhere where I could use it to help my guild. Now, I'm sure the build you guys saw, was something like this. I had improved smoke screen off, I take my cooldown reduction off, and then I turn these two on, and it gives me frost cleaving. I'm a big fan of frost cleaving. It does a lot of damage, it does a lot of AoE damage. You can kill invisible people with it. So it is a very good skill. I did have it leveled up. I transferred this one over. I also transferred over my stunning blow. In PvP, it's very important to have your stunning blow at level 5. If you do, then you could use the charged guillotine blade, which can one-shot people. If you don't, I suggest using the charged death blow. But essentially it looks like this, right? But as I said, in GVG or in anything guild related, I will switch over to my Phantom smoke screen. I'll turn off frost cleaving. I did hear Gaia's Crash is going to be very important in T2 because there is equipment that enhances it, but I try not to look too far ahead. I really like being surprised. But we could take our death blow if we don't have our stunning blow maxed. And one thing I'm very, very much liking is this charging slash. Charging slash is also really good for GVG. I like that like locks on to targets, and if they're already stunned, you can go prone them, right? If they're bound or stunned by one of your allies. So how it's gonna work, right, is you start your combos with Shadow Strike, right? Keep your Da Vinci's Courage on, then you start with Shadow Strike. This gets you behind them. Good PvP players will actually be able to block this. The moment they hear your Shadow Strike, they know to block. So you do want to change it up, but it's a very good combo starter. You usually want to follow this up with some type of stun, which is obviously your stunning blow or your devastating smash, but most likely your stunning blow. And then you want to prone the enemy. Now, when you prone them, you have time. You can charge your guillotine blade. If they're not dead, you can stun them again with your other stun. Then you can hit them with your death blow and finish them off with the cruel smite. If there's a little bit of HP left, you could always go brutal incision. And if you're ever stunned, make sure you have CC immunity on your camouflage cloak so you could use it. Now in large scale, I like to use Devastating Smash a little bit differently. So what I'll do is I will come here and I will Astral Vision continuously. As I Astral Vision, I'm getting new targets continuously. You can tap through them, so I tap through it, and then I can use number 1 where it's bound to Devastating Smash. And this lets me pick groups of targets, and sometimes I'll be able to get off stuns on like 3-4 people really quickly. A lot better for large scale where everyone can't pay attention to everything than it is for small scale. But this is essentially the PvP build. It's been pretty good. I've had fun with it. And let's move on to our PvE build. And in our PvE build, I will generally use this build here, right? I don't use our Thunder Spirit, but I'll use this build. Now, as I said, this was level 4 before today. This was level 4, or this was level 5 before today. This was level 5 before today. I switched them all up because of Siege. I am a staff player now. But this is our kind of combo for PvE. I like to keep the Precision Dash on if I'm running through dungeons. The only time I put on the Umbral is when I'm fighting bosses. Now, how this looks, right, is you're going to want to use your Will Breaker. This weakens your target. You're going to want to stun them if they're not a boss. If they're an elite mob or like a mini boss, they're all stunnable. Charge up your Guillotine Blade. Hit them. Mine would do around 30 to 35k damage if done properly. And then you're going to want to use your staffs or use your dagger skills. Now, before you fight, right, like personally, I like to use Thunder Spirit to infuse myself. Gaia's Courage. First thing I will do is Frost Cleaving. Now, there's times where I will go through this combo first, right? Will Breaker, Stunning Blow, Guillotine Blade, and then follow it up with Frost Cleaving. Then follow it with our Infusion. Then follow it with 2 Moonlights. Put the Fatal Stigma on. do these again. As this is counting down, I will use Cruel Smite and Death Blow, and then I will explode it all with Thundercloud Bombings, and this lets me start my combo all over again. At this point, you should actually get Cruel Smite back up, and your Cleaving Moonlight will come back up. Now, one thing to make sure of that's very important is before you use Thundercloud's Bombing, one thing you want to make sure you do, and it's very important, is that you time your Lightning Infusion and your Cleaving Moonlight so you could build 20 stacks of the Thunderclouds right before Fatal Stigma pops, and then you want to have time to hit the Thunderclouds Bombing. So make sure there's 20 stacks, this pops, then before the 20 stacks expire, you use this for maximum damage. So these are the skill specializations. You can copy them. I mostly just took these from Questlog or Maxroll, one of those. Both are good websites. Just don't follow them blindly. It's very good to learn your build and be able to follow their builds closely, right? But have it to your own playstyle. Like when I see people playing Greatsword Dagger without Precision Dash, I'm just like, bro, like how are you even playing this class? Big, slow, clunky class. Your stuns are up close, but you can't get up close. Absolutely wild to me. We don't have room for our Shadow Strike here, but Shadow Strike can be used here. I have tried Frenzied Sword Dance here. Quick tip for you guys in PVE. This skill is not meant to do damage. What this skill is meant for when you're farming is to tag all your mobs so nobody else can steal them. People don't seem to understand that. This is not a damage skill. Put on your Fatal Stigma if you want damage. Now for passives with PvP, we take Vital Force, very important, lots of hit chance. We take Cold Warrior. We take Robust Constitution, also very important. You want the max health and health regen. Shadow Walker, this is the most important. If you're PvPing with any daggers, you want this maxed. You want to make sure that you're blocking in intervals to make sure you keep this passive up, especially if you have an evasion build. You want to use Wrathful Edge, another incredibly important skill. Make sure that when it's leveled up, that 18% critical damage increase is amazing. Next, Assassin's Instincts, Raging Frenzy, and Assassin's Step. Not as important. I do like Assassin's Instinct. Critical hit chance is good. It's also a lot better in PvE. In PvE, we're basically taking the same things. We're taking Destructive Fang, we're taking Wrathful Edge, we're taking Assassin's Instinct, we're taking Murderous Energy because it does revolve a lot more around Thundercloud, stacking, and poisons. Still take your Robust Constitution and your Vital Force. We add in Victor's Morale because being able to heal yourself is OP. And we finish off with Cold Warrior. These are our PvE passives. But that's essentially it. That is our beautiful Greatsword Dagger build. Make sure your cloaks, pieces, PvE, PvP, make sure you know what you're using. Make sure you know what the differences are. Make sure you learn the difference between the accessories. As you see, I use a different accessory for PvE than I do for PvP, right? It all depends on your build. It all depends on these stats. If you guys have questions, leave them below. I'm very happy to help you out. Going forward, I'm probably gonna play some staff Greatsword, get these leveled up just because I really want to get the masteries to 16 on all of them. I'm at 12 on staff, 13 on Greatsword, 15 on Dagger. So when this one hits 16, I will start playing with Greatsword staff. I got my staff up to mastery 12 in about a week and jumped up about from 14 to 15 and a half on Dagger because I found some new tricks. So if you want the tricks on how to level a third weapon quickly, comment that below. And with that, status out.